our responsibility right now, the executive, the current players, past players, the clubs, to put really good facilities in place that these players can reach their maximum potential.
Plans are in place for that development. Am I right in saying
Yes.
that there's progress being made?
I suppose it's all well and good saying what you want. The second thing is, well, how are we going to get it? That gives me great hope and optimism that this county is all in one here. We're all together in this. We're all going in the one direction.
It's not something that you sing to the masses about, like, oh, we're doing this and this, but like there is an awful lot of work going on in the background.
That's the frustrating part of the job when I'm trying to prepare for the weekend, or our games development manager Kevin Halley's trying to prepare with his teams, and he comes looking for a pitch, and one of them might be just cut up, or it might be flooded.
The game has evolved so much during my time as a player, and obviously when the game evolves, coaching has to evolve, and you know, the infrastructure and support systems that are behind that obviously have to evolve as well.
And this really is a new chapter in Tipperary GAA.
And I suppose we're trying to encourage the public then, I suppose, to just do any little bit they can, whether it's sell a ticket, buy a ticket, do you know what I mean, share something on social media, like all of that stuff helps, I think, for this. And if we all come together, you know, there is strength in numbers.
I always like Roy Keane eating a scone in the overlap.
Oh yeah.
And then he just throws a dig at Gary.
His cup of tea.
Yeah.
Is this are you going into year 3 or year 2?
Year 3.
Year 3.
Year 3 that started in January the 3rd, 2023. So this 2 full year cycles, and like that.
Time is flying.
Like that, yeah.
How have you found the transition, like, because obviously your background, you have an interesting background, like how many years did you serve?
25 years, yeah. It's chalk and cheese. I love the army. I really had a great time in there, and I suppose in many ways you're dealing with young people, young soldiers, dealing with sport quite a lot. A lot of my appointments involve sport in the School of Physical Education, and then outside of work, I enjoy coaching, and finished up with Lockmore actually before I went over to Lebanon on my last trip.
So, many times did you go to Lebanon?
Oh, overseas trips in total, like 4. I went to Lebanon twice, and I went to Liberia and West Africa for another trip, and then Chad in Central Africa. So 4 trips in total, and I
really eye-opening stuff.
Oh yeah, it is. It's to give you a real appreciation for what you have at home. I mean, that's the one thing when you go to these countries with a kind of a skepticism of Ireland. You might be given out, but then you spend 6-7 months in a country where there's no law and order, police force, or infrastructure, roads, or, and you come home, you're like, God, thank God, you know. But you do miss. Not just to say it that we're here, but the whole GAA side. It's funny when you go to these countries, those communities, they do seem kind of empty. They don't have that, but we have. You know, when you come home to Ireland, it's so exciting to be back at home and back in your parish and back in your club and all that. So
how you find the 2 years now? Like, have you settled in the way that you thought you would, or has it been more challenging? Or
yeah, it has. It's taken much longer than I thought to settle in. I guess it's so different from any other job, Brendan. You arrive in, and there's so much to learn about the GAA. There's so much I thought I knew coming into the job that I didn't know, and it just takes you so long to get to know a team, get to know even that high performance preparation, the backroom teams that go with the intercounty teams. You know, you have an idea how it should be, but then you see it in action, and it's there's so many different lines of operation going on.
Yeah,
you have your infrastructure, your finance, your pitches, your HR, and it's all happening every single day. And it's good and bad. There's days you come into work and you have your schedule. It's lovely. I'm gonna, like the army, you come in and okay, I'm gonna get this done today, and by 3 o'clock you wouldn't have touched any of the things. You can't. There'd be a pitch flooded. There'd be a gym locked, or there'd be problem with issues with kit, or maybe protein not coming down in time, and you're just taken out completely. So every day is just a change, and that's great.
It's a massive operation, isn't it? Like, and I think people, when you're not involved, you don't realise. You probably were maybe taken aback about the amount of organisation that's required, like, for even just one team.
Oh yeah.
You know, for that to operate, and if you think about all of our teams in football and hurling.
Oh yeah.
For all of those to be working, you know, at the same time.
Yeah.
And the organisation that's required for it, like, it must have been a fair eye opener for you. Like.
Oh, it was. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's a vocation when you're in there. You just accept that your phone is going to be going all week, and so that terrified me at the start. You know, you don't know what the hell the phone's going, what the problem is going to be. But so I done something I do in all my appointments. I just started keeping a diary of every month of what's happening and kind of putting a little bit of structure. And we brought in audit and risk and governance, and we decided we needed to put some SOPs in place, you know, and by year 2, you know, it wasn't as frightening finishing Christmas and coming into work. You're like, okay, well, the club passes are out. We need to sit down with the managers, do the charters. We need to book the pitches. Still a lot of mistakes, still a lot of errors, but you gradually start getting used to it. But that's what we're saying. Did it take me long? It does, because you'd be naive to say you came in and you hit the ground running. You don't. You have to put your finger into all the wounds and identify all the problems and experience them.
Yeah.
And now I'm coming into the third year. I'm a little bit more comfortable of how the year flows, and the mist has kind of lifted a bit. So now you can say, okay, well, this is what we should be doing. Maybe in October now, before January, we should be meeting with the managers. But it's never straightforward, because managers have to be ratified later in the year. So it's not like professional sport where you bring them all in and sit down in July and say, right, next year we're going to do this, this, and this. There's different managers at different phases, different stages, but. Yeah, it's gradually beginning to make sense.
Yeah, so that's the day-to-day, like, and what, like, if you were to think about long-term, what would you love to be able to say, you know, what's the legacy you want to leave, I suppose, if you did decide to move on in time? Or
do you know what I always say when I come to any job? I suppose first of all, I'd like to leave a real structure in the role. If I took ill in the morning and Brendan Maher had to come in to replace me, I'd like to see a structured SOP book on what the CEO of Tipperary GAA does from January to December, month by month, week by week, and plus all your officers and all your members of the executive. That's the first of all. The second one, and the most important one, is our facilities. It's the one thing I had in my mind when I interviewed for the job, and it's the one thing that's, I suppose, when I came in, I identified it and I thought, okay, yeah, that was my concern coming in, and looking at our facilities now, I think that is a concern, because I look at what we're doing underage. I look at the success we're having the last 3 years. Tony Forrestal, 2 Arabons, 2 minor All-Irelands, Munster under 20. So there's lots of good players coming through, and you know this, Brendan, because you play at every level through this, and they need facilities now to reach their potential.
Yeah.
So my legacy will be to get a really strong, what would you call it, I suppose, a reality-checked strategic plan that focuses on a number of streams, but among them are facility development. And I'd like to get that underway, started with a plan drawn up, a commercial model to finance that model. And that's what I'd like to leave behind.
Yeah.
If that gets completed during my term, it's brilliant. If it doesn't, I want that to be our North Star, that to be our overall objective, because I think these great players we have, these days, as you know, the game has changed. You players now at 14, 15, they need to get educated in S&C, they need to get educated in game management, video analysis, nutrition, and all aspects of it. So you need a central facility that they can all come and do that. And we just don't have one sufficiently at the moment. Coolmore Morris Park is serving a purpose, but with the split season, just every team is arriving in there on January the 1st.
Yeah.
The weather conditions are always going to be bad this time of the year. And it disappoints me that we have to kind of send our teams to different, you know, with the begging bowl, ringing clubs, can you please facilitate, who have been brilliant, by the way, in the last 2 years. But we want something that players can be proud of, that we can achieve everything in that space.
Yeah.
That's the real legacy I'd like to leave behind.
Yeah, brilliant. I think everyone would love to see, you know, a hub that we can all call our own, you know, a bit like, you know, Semple Stadium, obviously, we're so proud of.
Yeah.
But if you had something, you know, that's there as a real kind of centre of excellence, that, you know, that's the place to go to, that's where all of our teams are developing, all our young players are developing.
Exactly, and it's nice to walk in and see all your teams. If you walk in on a Tuesday night, sure, you know, they won't all be there, because there won't be enough room. You'll have to maybe move our minor hurlers to Templemore or Lockmore or Borrisalee. So, you know, we want a central location. And when you have them centralised, it's amazing how much more structure you can put around, say, managing team cost.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, we're running buses for all our minor teams, and they're training nearly all over the county, because we have to bring them to locations, but they can't train in the same night because we don't have 2 pitches available in the same night. So if you had a proper centre of excellence with 6 pitches, additional dressing rooms, gymnasium, dining area, we could have them all there training in the same night, same buses.
plans are in place for that development. Am I right in saying
Yes.
that there's progress being made?
I suppose it's all well and good saying what you want. The second thing is, well, how are we going to get it? Well, the first thing we need funds. We need funds. So we set up an infrastructural fund, and we made it as transparent and open as possible. We've addressed the clubs and we said, right, the first big infrastructural fundraising initiative is the house. We've never done something of this size before. Like this is large scale. It's the first time we've attempted something like this. And we've got huge buy-in from the clubs, huge buy-in from all our players, our past players. And every penny of that is going into this account.
Yeah.
So while people might read in the paper operational costs, that's grand. We'll worry about that also. But the money we make from the house will go into infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that's going to be ring-fenced. And that's why we brought in an external house committee to actually oversee and guide and monitor that. So there's strong governance around that. And that's the very first stab at this.
I think it's a great idea as well, and there's a great incentive for clubs as well. I mean, that's what I suppose even initially drew my attention to it when I first heard about it and was asked to get involved to help out in whatever way I could.
Yeah.
The fact that the club will get, 30 euros out of 100 euros, I think that's a huge incentive.
It's really good, and it's I suppose in recent years you might have seen all our minor panels. We're drawing really from most of our clubs now. It was only 61 clubs represented last year, so. It's a club initiative. This Centre of Excellence is for our club players who make under 14 development panels, 15, that they come to this Centre of Excellence and they get improved. They learn a great deal. Coaching courses, we can have them in Coolmore, Morris Park. Clubs can benefit from them. But the great thing about this is if you're a club and you're thinking, wow, I'd love to support the county, well, I sell a ticket and I get 30 euros saved.
Yeah.
It goes back into our own facilities. So it's a model that benefits both, and we have to work closely together. Tipperary GAA and our clubs. So it's really exciting. It's really kicking off, and I really have high hopes for it.
The house itself, for people outside of Tipperary, it's appetizing, because it's, I suppose, the people that are on the housing market at the moment are trying to buy. It's such a challenging time for people, first-time buyers, and the price of, I suppose, building and all of that goes with it. It's a nice one that you'd be kind of looking, saying Cashel is, with the development in Cashel and everything that's going on there, it's not just two people, I suppose, that we'll be hoping will buy tickets.
No. I mean, Cashel it's a beautiful town. It's got some of the best restaurants in the country. It's got the Rocket Cashel. The schools are fantastic, and it's 5 minutes off the motorway to Cork and Dublin. And the house itself is beautiful, as the video. And then you've seen it. You've been in there, as have I. So it's a great opportunity if you're going to take a punt. If you're looking to buy a house or you need a house, it's right there. And so we're hoping to capture the imagination of people within Tipperary, but also outside Tipperary, that this is a really, really good opportunity to take a chance on a wonderful prize like that.
Yeah.
And so it's going quite well so far, and we're hoping really to push the message out over the next number of months ahead of the draw.
Yeah, of course. And listen, that's why I'm involved in trying to give any bit of support I can. And I know there's other former players that have been involved. You'll probably see, on social media over the next few weeks, they'll be coming out, and other lads that are helping out in the background. And I suppose that's our thing, is anything we can do to help. I suppose we're trying to put our foot forward, and I suppose we're trying to encourage the public then, I suppose, to just do any little bit they can, whether it's sell a ticket, buy a ticket, do you know what I mean, share something on social media, all of that stuff helps, I think, for this. And if we all come together, there is strength in numbers. Absolutely.
And Brendan, and all the ex-players know, they've gone through the system. They probably know the game has changed in terms of what's required now. And I suppose that's great to see. I mean, players have hurled with Tip to such great distinction, and now we're looking backwards at the next crop of Tipperary stars and putting the best structures in place to make sure that they achieve what you achieved. And I think it's great to see. It's a kind of a team of us effort here, that it has to be unity of effort. Current players, past players, and future players, all of Tipperary coming together. And the clubs have been really strong and supportive of it. The players have been brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing the content that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. I've heard of some real characters going to be in front of the camera telling stories.
There is. I think there's some good ideas in place, right? The draw itself then is happening. I think the plan is to do it in Paddy's weekend.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's aimed for Patrick's weekend, the draw, and more details of that will follow in due course.
In terms of obviously there's an ambition to raise as much money out of this one as possible, and there might be future initiatives, but is there a time frame on when we could expect to see progress in terms of a centre of excellence in Coolmore Morris Park, or what's the idea there?
Well, there's two options available to us. One is expand Coolmore Morris Park. That's option one, and it'll be reflected in our strategic plan. If we get additional land, once we get additional land, then you'll see movement.
Okay.
We have a phase 2 ready to go, but I suppose I'm slow to pursue a phase 2 in a facility that only has 3 pitches. I think there's no real point in having our dining facilities and our gymnasium unless we can guarantee at least 5 pitches.
Okay.
So as soon as movement happens in terms of acquiring land, we're always working on that.
Yeah.
Failing to do that, we'll have to look at option 2, which would be actually a greenfield site, and develop a full centre of excellence from there.
Okay.
So these are the 2 options available that are going to be in our strategic plan, but we're focusing heavily on option 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
As I said, the money generated from the house will be ring fenced until such time as we're A, buying land, or B, enhancing the facility.
Yeah.
So that's where we are at the moment on it, and yeah, look, it's exciting. It's really exciting time in Tipperary. I know we have our challenges, but every county has. I mean, you only have to read the John Fogarty article in the Examiner during the week in terms of the cost of running inter-county teams. They're just going up throughout the country, and that's just the way it is. But at the same time, we're very lucky that we've got such talented young players coming through in Tipperary.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that there's such an exciting crop of excellent young hurlers and really bright young footballers. Our under-20s performed very well last year. Our minor footballers got the 2 Darcy Cup finals. And our hurlers, obviously, I went through that earlier. So there's a really, really exciting crop of players coming through. And it's our responsibility right now, the executive, the current players, past players, the clubs, to put really good facilities in place that these players can reach their maximum potential.
Yeah.
And we spoke about earlier what that is. In terms of our guidance, our nutrition, our S&C, pitches, as well as a really, really successful. We have a really vibrant games development model in Tipperary that's working really well with Satanta. So that's in its 3rd year now. And it's proven to be really successful, but the second half of the piece has to be our facilities.
Yeah.
And we have to get that right. So,
even I always remember, like, the blitzes that go on in Coolmore Morris Park, and like having a facility that's able to cater for hundreds of kids on a Saturday morning there is something that's, it's a challenge inside, even with the way it is at the moment. It's a challenge to be able to facilitate something like that, and you're trying to do in multiple locations. So obviously if you had somewhere with 5 pitches, think of what you could do there from an underage perspective.
Oh, exactly.
Just like for clubs to be able to come in and have a day out. And
and you want parents too you want consistency in the parents' calendar. You don't want to be telling a parent to bring their kids to Cashel one day and to Kappa White the next.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have a centre like that where they can all come. But equally, there's a real sense of excitement. We saw Semple Day last year, and where all the kids came in and played in Semple, and the blitz was on in Coolmore Morris across the road. There was just a real vibrant excitement in the air with all these teams in one location.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a frustrating part of the job when I'm trying to prepare for the weekend, or our games development manager, Kevin Halley's trying to prepare with his teams, and he comes looking for a pitch. And one of them might be just cut up, or it might be flooded. But that's it then. Whereas if we had 5 pitches, you could have a pitch line rest, you could have a pitch. We could put pitches aside for such eventualities. And that's what we need to have. We need to have an area where we remove that headache from games development managers, we remove that headache from managers, from county board. I mean, we need to be more strategic in our view of what we're going to be doing beyond these facilities.
Yeah.
As in, then working on our commercial strand. How are we going to finance this, maintain it, as well as meeting the other challenges that are going to come along the way in the years and months ahead. But the start point, I firmly and strongly believe, will have to be the facility.
Yeah.
And the house, it's such a wonderful initiative, and we're blessed with a house committee. I mean, with the people who've come aboard. That's one thing that really humbled me, Brendan, and I never mentioned at the start, in terms of the transition into Tipperary from the army. It's the volunteer spirit.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with volunteers that have got hectic family lives, hectic business lives or work lives, and they have to make time twice a week to come in to me in the evening time and deliver really, really good content and really good research, really good work in terms of helping.
Yeah.
And when you see that, it gives you great hope. It says the Tipperary is going in the right direction. Players like past players like yourself coming on board, and there's going to be a lot more of them, as we'll see in the weeks ahead. That gives me great hope and optimism that this county is all in one here. We're all together on this, and we're all going in the one direction, or one North Star, and that's encouraging. That's great to see.
I think, though, I suppose it takes leadership to get those wheels in motion. I think you deserve credit for the work that you've done and the rest of the county board and executive and all that. Like, to be fair, there has been a lot of effort put in over the last number of months to get all of this kind of started and happening. So, like, there is great effort going on behind the scenes, and maybe people don't realise that. And I suppose the general public, even, like, I got a phone call and I was kind of going, God, I didn't realise all of this stuff was happening.
Yeah.
It's probably something. It's not something that you sing to the masses about, like, oh, we're doing this, this, and this, but, like, there is an awful lot of work going on in the background.
There is. It's the first thing we wanted to do was to be transparent. I find once you're transparent and open with your delegates and with the media about where we are, first of all, it has to be a start point. This is where we are. We haven't got facilities. Financially, we've got challenges, but we got this great crop of players coming through, hurlers and footballers, and this is what we need. And once we conveyed that message, it's amazing. The people came in their droves to help, and there's a lot of work being done. And God, you see the officers and the executive, busy men, busy women, and yet the hours they're putting in beyond that to help this get it moving. And from that regard, it is humbling and it's brilliant. And we all feel we're part of something, a new chapter. And this really is a new chapter in Tipperary GAA. We had such a successful last 20 years. Unprecedented success that you're well familiar with. But now it's the start of a new chapter. New changes, new infrastructure, new committees, new teams. And, that will require a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I'm glad to say that we won't be found wanting. Yeah. But the volunteers also, they've been great. And the clubs, I really have to get behind the clubs in this because they've been great so far, but I need them to stay with us in this. I need them to really push the house. Yeah. Because it's for their young players that are going to see the benefit of this. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting, and I see a really bright future for Tipperary GAA.
And there's different ways you can support it through your club. You get the 30 euros goes to your club, which is obviously what every club person would like to do. But you can obviously just purchase them online then as well.
Purchase them online, the website which will appear in the link below. Yeah. So there's any amount of opportunity to get them, but I would encourage people in clubs to try and really get them through the club, because I want to see the clubs benefiting here. So I'd really love to see the clubs use this opportunity. I mean, the cost of running clubs, I know myself from working in my own club in a coaching capacity, the whole infrastructure around a team now at club level, it's probably where county teams were 25 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, in terms of the feeding, the S&C, physio, medical costs. So clubs can benefit here. Yeah. There's an opportunity here to make a lot of money and a kind of an easy sell. You're supporting the county and you have a chance of winning a house.
Yeah, it's a win-win, yeah.
You probably saw it, I'd say, Brendan, how coaching has changed from a player. Would you, as in from you were a minor?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the game has evolved so much during my time as a player. And obviously, when the game evolves, coaching has to evolve, and the infrastructure and support systems that are behind that obviously have to evolve as well. And there is that argument out there all the time: is like, is it gone too professional, and is it gone, over the top? And maybe there is argument to say that in some areas where we are a little bit over the top, but I kind of find as if there's a good balance coming in now, and even some of the stuff that was brought in from the GA around, like, having a proper off season, and the structures, I suppose, maybe aren't perfect at the moment, but I think there's been a lot of good moves being made to say, like, your club season is here, your county season is here, we have an off season. I think as a player, I really enjoyed the last few years knowing this is when I have my games, and you can plan holidays, and you can do like, I give years there as a player where it was literally from December right the way through, just like saying, I'm not going anywhere, and this is it. Like, it's just club, county, and while it was enjoyable and I don't regret a minute of it, like, it was demanding. And if we want to keep encouraging our players to stay getting involved in county teams, we do need to strike a balance where they know this is not going to take up my whole life 12 months of the year.
Exactly.
Because it's not something that is sustainable. Do you know what I mean? So
we're probably in competition against other sports.
Exactly, exactly. So I think there's, we've probably gotten over that initial spike of just being so professional and so full on that I think we're coming out the other side now where there's little tweaks being made to say, no, this is our off-season period.
Yeah.
You know, and that lads can have a bit of downtime and enjoy going off on holidays or just getting back to normal day-to-day life for a while. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's great. I remember hearing one or two county players saying that in 2020 when we started training, probably when the start of this.
Yeah.
And one of them said, in the last 10 years, I've never got to train at my club. It's been just parachuted in from the county, and every player loves to be with their club. I mean, while it's an honour to play with Tip, they probably love the banter and fun and camaraderie. So you get to have that now, don't you? As in once the inter-county's finished, there's a proper line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but look, it was. It's all part of it. It's part of the evolution of the game and the evolution of society and everything. Do you know what I mean? So it's natural that you're going to go through periods of like things not being right and things just having to be tweaked. But
we're moving to the right place. Yeah.
Exactly. And what do you think about 2025? Are you enthusiastic about the year ahead and for all of our teams, I suppose?
I'm always enthusiastic. I guess you have to be in this job, but I'm always biased too. I think so. I think we're in a good place. Liam is doing great stuff with developing the age profile, lowering the age profile, introducing young players into the senior team. It's a difficult time in transition in any sport. And that's happening. We got Philly in the footballers. He's doing the same thing. He's taken over in a period of transition. And like I said, our under-20s performed very well last year, hurling and football. I mean, Niall Fitz, he delivered some great results, beat Clare, beat Waterford, drew with Limerick, and to put up a really good show against Cork and Kerry. So and then Brendan obviously getting to All-Ireland final, and James, I mean, the All-Ireland success in Kilkenny will... You know what? If I stay in this job 20 years, I don't think I'll ever see a game like that.
That was unbelievable.
It just made you so proud leaving for those young men. And so I'm optimistic what we're doing underage. I'm really, really optimistic with the game's development model. I'm really happy with that. I think that's really almost perfect at the moment in terms of this partnership with Satanta and Kevin and his team of GDCs. So we're producing, I suppose, educated young hurlers and footballers in terms of how to look after themselves. Their mental well-being, their physical well-being, and then they're moving into the minor setup with James and Michael Donnellan and Shane Hennessy, and they're getting properly brought through. I will say that there is a little bit of space left for an athletic coordinator in Tipperary GAA. That's the one piece that will be on our strategic plan. That'll be an operational financial cost. It'll be separate to what we're doing, but that's something I think we can benefit from, is a one-piece oversight on the development of players physically from 14 to senior. Just ensure there's consistency. You spoke about players, walking away from the game, the danger of it. I think overloading our players, and sure, these days you got Harty Cup, you got club, you got county, you have different S&Cs operating with the players. So we need to have one person overseeing every player to ensure that they're not going to suffer from burnout or
of course,
even injuries. And we have a model in place for that, but there's a little bit more work to be done on it. And I think that'd be great. I think so. But to finish the first question, optimistic. I would be optimistic this year.
Of course.
I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
No, listen. I think it's great to hear all the work that's going on, because, as I said, it's only when you start talking to people that are involved you realise how much is involved in the running of a county and the challenges that exist, and some of them are well documented, but then others are unseen, and nobody gets the credit that they deserve, probably.
I don't think it's been articulated to the public. I mean, before I came in, I wasn't aware of the workload behind the scene. It's like just you look at our treasurer, the amount of work she has to do. Eleanor Lahart, fantastic. But preparing budgets, meeting all the different teams. I mean, that could be 10 or 12 evenings between over and back, meeting the people. The chairman, vice chairman, CCC and fixtures, PRO going to all games, reporting back, and then there's the logistics behind all of that again. So there's just so much. There's so much to be done, and there's so much required when a team takes the field. People turn up and watch the team, and they wonder how players can play into their 30s, and well, it's because there's such a huge amount of work goes into ensuring that the likes of yourself, Shamey, Noel, could play at that level for as long as possible. There's physios, there's a whole medical side, there's S&C, there's gymnasiums, there's all of that, and nutrition to ensure that players can meet that's the standard. That standard has now been raised again by Limerick and by Clare, and we keep having to come up to meet it. So when the standard goes up, every one of us back in the office have to raise our standard. We have We have to raise more funds. Our fundraisers have to be more innovative. Our pitches, our facilities have to be better, and we have to act. We can't rest on our laurels. If we sit back and just do nothing, we fall behind.
Well, it definitely sounds like you're not resting on your laurels anymore.
So for as long as possible.
For all the energy you're bringing to it. Like,
thanks very much, Brendan. And
hopefully we'll all get behind you and try and help out in any way we can this year. And
really appreciate that.
The winahouse is the first thing we can get our teeth into. So
we all know how to do it. We all know how to do it. Go to your clubs, go to your secretaries, ask to buy tickets, go on the website, buy the tickets, ring Lorna Park if you have to get tickets. It's we need to be successful, and like I said, the doors of Lorna Park are wide open for people like yourselves, ex-players, people with ideas that want to come in and book an appointment with me. I'd be only too happy to sit down, and really the more people we have in the room with more ideas, the more it'll benefit Tipperary GAA, and that's what we're here for, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.